a Zelda episode. Today we've got multiple Zelda leaks that we have to talk about as we prep for the next wave of games in the land of Hyrule. So good morning Mario and good morning Switch fans. Hope you're all enjoying this fine Friday. Get ready to have a kickback weekend and get ready for June. We know that there's plenty of game reveals and plenty of announcements planned for us in the month ahead. It should be a great time. I'm glad to have you here with me. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Today, though, is almost exclusively about Zelda. And when you have a full show of Zelda stuff to talk about, man, we are eating good. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of today's Zelda topics. And no, I'm not talking about the Deku Tree, even though I really do want that Deku Tree. I'm talking about new games. I'm talking about the next games from Nintendo while we wait for the sequel to Tears of the Kingdom. We know that that game is a ways off, gonna definitely be years into the Switch 2 life cycle, but what about right here and now? What about 2024? What about multiple new Zeldas coming soon? I am very excited for what I've been reading, what I've been hearing, and what we're about to discuss. And if you guys are pumped for Zelda games and you need somewhere to store them, the Elixir Play Card is the very best Switch memory card in the market with improved speed up to 160 megabytes per second. It is the safest, fastest, coolest card on the market. Make sure to click the link in the description down below. I love the people at Elixir, and every time you click the link, it helps support the channel. They've been supporting the channel for years now, and I super appreciate what they do. And these cards are phenomenal and can be huge if you need a terabyte of storage. But Zelda. Now let's start off with a follow-up to the rumor about the Zelda-centric game. If you remember, we talked about a game with Princess Zelda as the main character. This was being teased by Papagenos. He put out a cryptic tweet. The capital letters were about a Princess Zelda game, and he has since doubled down on yeah, this is happening. This is a thing. And when is it a thing? Well, we don't know, but today Papagenos comes through saying, I think you'll be happy, but don't hold your breath for it to be an Oracle of Ages or Seasons remake. Now, this is very interesting because a lot of people have hypothesized that maybe Nintendo is ready to remake those Game Boy Color classics. They released on Nintendo Switch Online, they got a little bit of shine there, but could they get more shine if they were redone in full-on Switch glory? Kind of like Link's Awakening. And that's where this all ties together because Papagenos says, I think you'll be happy about this new game codenamed Edward. Now this comes from Midori, and Midori says that there is a codename Edward game in development at Nintendo, and it might be related to the rumors of a new Zelda series title. And that seems like it's tying into Papagenos' rumor about a Zelda-centric game. And then we have Papagenos saying that this is not Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, so it seems like it could be something brand new. Now, we know Nintendo has used proper English names before. Richard was the code name for the Link's Awakening remake that released a few years back on Switch, so Edward could be very much in the same 2D vein. I've seen some speculate that Edward could be related to Wind Waker because there is a character, Edward, in Wind Waker in, I think, the international releases, but I don't think that's going to be the case. And the reason is because of another leak we have that we'll talk about in a second, but I think this is going to be a new 2D game. I think that's the direction Nintendo is taking with The Legend of Zelda as we wait for Tears of the Kingdom. Yes, they were successful with the Link's Awakening remake. Yes, they were successful with the Skyward Sword port. Whatever you feel about the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess ports, it seems like something new would be in Nintendo's best interest. That's a great way to generate a whole bunch of excitement and sales because we know it's going to be many years until the next true 3D Zelda. But a 2D Zelda, that can still generate hype. Those things sold like crazy on the handheld systems, and we know Switch is preferred portably by a lot of players. And tying in Papagenos, his Zelda rumor, Midori, this codename rumor, and then Papagenos saying, I think you'll be happy, to me that seems like it's probably a new game. Would people be happy with a Link Between Worlds remaster remake? I mean, possibly, but I don't think that's very Zelda-centric at all. And maybe these are two separate games, maybe they're just one game, but the fact that he calls out it's not an Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons remake is interesting because that's something that we have heard about for a while, and maybe that's just a whole bunch of smoke. Maybe that's not actually something, and maybe just releasing on NSO is enough for those Game Boy games. I think that there's a chance this Zelda title gets announced soon, but there's equally as much chance that it's saved for the first year of Switch 2. We talked about a lot how Mario and Zelda, Odyssey and Breath of the Wild was such a great combo for the first year of Switch 1. If they can recreate that with a new 3D Mario at launch and then a new 2D Zelda later in the year, it's not as much magic as both 3D entries, but it's still magical. It's still getting Zelda out there, huge name. It's still getting Mario out there, obviously the hugest name. And then maybe down the road, they tie in the next big 3D Zelda with the Zelda movie. That's something that I think Nintendo would love to do. And it probably lines up in terms of how many years down the road these games are. But alas, there is another Zelda coming out soon, according to Midori. And Midori says that The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess Remastered has been done at Nintendo, and they don't know why Nintendo is not releasing it yet. Now, this is interesting because we've heard for years now from Jeff Grubb and other sources that Nintendo is sitting on these ports of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Midori confirms that the Twilight Princess one is ready to go, but doesn't say anything confirming or denying Wind Waker. This is not to say that Wind Waker is not happening, it's just to say that Twilight Princess is apparently in the oven. We know Nintendo loves to do this. In fact, we just heard earlier this week that Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door supposedly has been ready to go since last July. They've sat on this game for almost a year, 10 full months, and boom, now it's finally out. Nintendo does this to balance their release calendar, to make sure that they give appropriate love to certain characters throughout the calendar, and waiting on Twilight Princess until the last possible moment is sad and silly, but it kind of makes sense for Nintendo. If they ever have a period that goes slow, they can, boom, pop these titles out and they are hot and ready to serve. Now, it would be interesting if Nintendo opted to go just for Twilight Princess and not Wind Waker. I feel like Wind Waker has more love and would probably sell better on Switch and be able to play portably. But again, this isn't to say that both games aren't raring and ready to go. And to me, if I had to give you my SwitchForce take, I would say it's most likely that we get one of these ports, Twilight Princess and or Wind Waker, this year, and then the 2D Zelda is saved for next year in the Switch 2. But perhaps it's the other way around, or perhaps both are coming out next year, perhaps both are coming out this year. It would be pretty sick if we did get a old Zelda and a new Zelda, and I'm telling you, I have this sneaking suspicion, my Nintendo spidey sense is tingling, that this next Direct is actually going to be bonkers. I know people are bracing for like a very slow year, but if we can get Metroid Prime, if we can get Donkey Kong, if we can get Zelda in any capacity, right? All three of those in any capacity, we are eating good. That is a great, fun year. And taking into account Papagino's rumor about this Zelda-centric game being something exciting and fresh, and then taking into account Midori's rumor about Twilight Princess being ready and doesn't know why Nintendo is not releasing it yet, we're catering to all crowds, right? We'll have a brand new Zelda that appeals to people that want something fresh and evolving and different. And then we bring back a classic Zelda, and you can play your 3D dungeon-based, you can play your 2D, you can play your open world. No Tears of the Kingdom DLC, which definitely probably is for another subset of Zelda fans, and it's a bit of a bummer that that's not happening there, at least that we know of. But it does seem like the Zelda franchise is healthy and maybe ready to start popping out more games regularly. We know that Nintendo can't get a 3D Zelda out every year or even every other year, and it would be very damaging to the series to do so. We don't ever want Nintendo to turn these things into a yearly annualized Madden, Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed type franchise. It would dilute their speciality, I think, supremely. But if Nintendo can utilize the Zelda franchise in at least somewhat of a similar way to how they utilize Mario to release more games, release spin-offs, have this franchise tackle other genres, I think that's only a good thing. It's a great thing for investors, it's a great thing for the company, it's a great thing for sales, it's a great thing to help promote a brand new system, and it's a great thing for fans who are always waiting for the next big thing. And even though Nintendo does like to cater to niche markets often, I think it would behoove them to release more of their popular characters more frequently, especially if they're not going to innovate with new IP all that often. Like, we get Splatoon one gen, and then we get ARMS one gen. They don't really try much else. If that's going to be the case, that's fine, but then give us more of these great characters. Give us more Samus. Give us more Zelda. We already know we're going to get tons of Mario, and I'm sure we'll get more Mario this year. I'm sure there's a Mario Party, or maybe a Mario Party and a Mario Baseball, or who knows, something else Mario waiting in the wings. But this is great for Zelda, and I definitely think one of these titles does release this year, whether it is this 2D game that we're very excited about, or whether it is one of these 3D classics that we've heard about for a very, very long time. Just like getting some of these long-standing leaks to come to fruition would be very satisfying, and a nice way to put a bow on the end of the Switch era. I think we're going to be eating good. I think June is going to surprise us and impress us, and I definitely hope we get Zelda at the next Direct in conjunction with just about everybody else. Mario, DK, Samus, they all need to be there. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Which Zelda would you be more excited to buy and play first? Twilight Princess or a new 2D title? Love to hear from you in the comments down below. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. And until next time, SwitchForce out.